Here's the truth, your email open rate is a lie. Most brands that I work with are obsessed with their open rates. 50%, 60%, 70%. They celebrate these numbers like they've won something. They send them to their team, they use them in their reports, but they have absolutely no idea how much revenue they're actually making. One client I worked with had a 64% open rate, looked incredible, and their team was pumped. But when I pulled the data, only 0.05% of those opens turned into actual revenue. They were measuring the wrong thing, and it was costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year. Most brands are doing this. They're tracking opens, clicks, list size, bounce rate. They're all vanity metrics, while their competitors are quietly building systems that convert. So instead of chasing open rates like everyone else, we changed what we measure. We focused on conversions, on repeat purchase rates, on actual customer lifetime value. That's when everything changed. One brand went from £0 in email revenue to 73,432 in just 30 days, using the same traffic they already had, not by getting more opens, but by having a better system in place. Today, I'm going to show you what metrics actually matter while your competitors are scaling faster without increasing ad spend, and the exact framework to unlock hidden revenue sitting in your email list right now. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to cover 5 sections within this board that I've prepared. Section 1 is going to be the audit. I'm going to show you what to actually monitor instead of just going over open rates. Section 2, I'm going to be going over the proof. Section 3, I'm going to be going over why solely tracking your open rates is just going to kill your revenue. Section 4, I'm going to show you the abandoned cart recovery system that I use. And then section 5, I'm going to be showing you my 5-step revenue framework. Okay, so 3 questions every email marketer must ask themselves. Are your open rates converting into customers? Are the clicks converting into repeat buyers? And are your sequences actually building customer lifetime value? Open rates mean nothing if they're not turning into buyers. One-time buyers can actually cost you, whereas repeat buyers actually make you money. And are your sequences engineered for retention, not just clicks? So I've got 2 dashboards here that I want to go over. You've got the Vanity dashboard on the left here. So this is when I talk to brand owners. These are the things that they seemingly think that they care about. So they want to know what their open rates are. They want to know what their click rates are. They care about how big their list is and then what revenue is coming from that. But really the things you should be tracking is over here on the revenue dashboard. How much revenue are you getting per email send? What is your repeat purchase rate? What is your customer lifetime value? What is your spam rate complaint? And how much revenue are you generating per month? Okay, these things matter so much more, especially the repeat purchase rate. You really want to know how many customers are actually coming back and buying from you again and again. They're the metrics that really matter. I've got 2 scenarios here that I want to run you through here. So scenario A here, you've got the 7-day engaged list. So this is going to be people who are super engaged in your brand. In the last 7 days, they have either opened an email, clicked an email, or placed an order, or been active on your website. So the likelihood is when you email these people, the open rate percentage you're going to get is going to be really, really high. So for this example, let's say on that 7-day engaged list, you've got 1,000 recipients. Okay, so you'd easily get a 75% open rate on that. No questions asked, probably even higher, but I want to be really conservative with these numbers. From that, you'd get 150 clicks, 2% click rate. And then from that, you'd get 10% of those clicks turning into orders. And if we assume that's $100 average order value, that's going to result in $1,500 in revenue. At face value, you could say, hey, look, we got a 75% open rate. We got a 2% click rate. If you Google what's a good open rate and what's a good click rate, it's going to tell you anything above 30% and anything above, 0.5% is a good click rate. So you might be thinking, oh, this is amazing. I've got really good metrics. I'm really good at email marketing, but it's just a complete vanity metric. Like, these don't tell you anything. Like, what you need to be optimizing for is sales, not open rates or clicks. So if we run through scenario B here, which is the 90-day engaged list. So same as the 7-day, but it's just expanded out to 90 days. So this would be, if you've got 1,000 people in the 7-day, you'd easily have 8,000 recipients. It would likely be more, but again, I want to be really conservative with these numbers. So from that, you'd probably get, with a good subject line, good preview text, you would get a 40% open rate. So that would be 3,200 opens. If we assume that you get a 1% click rate on that, 320 clicks, and then again, 10% of those, 32 orders placed, same average order value of $100, but that would result in $3,200 in revenue. So you compare that from the $1,500 to the $3,200. Scenario B is going to win because you're getting an extra $1,700. It's the same email, same subject line, same preview text. You are simply sending it to more people. But at face value, you might look at this and think, well, the open rate wasn't as good and the click rate wasn't as good. But again, you need to be optimizing for revenue, not for these open rates and clicks. Here's the thing, if you're measuring email success by open rates, you're flying blind. Your competitors are quietly tracking conversion rates. They're building systems that turn opens into repeat purchases, and they're scaling revenue while you're celebrating a number that doesn't even matter. If you want to see what your actual metrics should be, and you want a personalized breakdown showing exactly where you're losing revenue, head to oakhurstmarketing.com using the link in the description and book in your free strategy call. Pull your data, show you your real conversion rates, and map out exactly which metrics matter. No vanity metrics, just the truth. Now back to the video. This is what I mean when I say that your open rates kill revenue, and it's not necessarily that the open rate is killing revenue, it's more that people care and track the wrong thing. So again, you've got a team on the left here, you've got a brand that tracks their open rate, they get a 28% open rate, they think this is really great, and they report that to leadership. Nobody actually bothers to check their revenue. 0.05% actually converted to sales. They're going to get thousands of opens but nearly zero revenue, and then that's just hundreds of thousands of lost per year. Whereas you've got the brand on the right here, which they're actually going to be tracking their revenue per email. So they're going to be using a revenue dashboard build. They're actually going to be building a dashboard that's focused around revenue, not open rates and clicks, things that actually matter. They're creating sequences that are optimized for conversions, you know, turning those one-time buyers into lifetime customers. And then they're segmenting by their buyer tiers. So that's your first purchases, your repeat purchases, your unengaged. They're measuring their ROI weekly, and they're checking, you know, per email send, how much revenue is actually an email send generating them. And then they're also checking their repeat purchase rate. This is something brands just don't do enough. This is so important. You need to know how many people are actually coming back from a second purchase. And if it's low, how do you get it up? Okay, so now I want to run you through my abandoned cart recovery system. On average, around 60 to 70% of all carts are abandoned just across the whole of e-commerce in general. So without a recovery system like this in place, that revenue is lost permanently. But if you have the right email sequence in place, you can recover easily up to 22% of that revenue. So email one here is just going to be a really simple reminder. Send it within 1 hour of someone adding to the cart. I like to do 20 minutes, but you can A/B test this yourself or what works for your brand. And the email content needs to be super simple. It's simply a reminder. You're just reminding them that they've left something in their cart. So a subject line like, hey, you left this behind, or hey, this is still in your cart, or did you forget about this? And then the content in the email, all you need is a headline that says, did you forget this? And then just show the dynamic product of what they've left in their cart with a simple call to action to finish checking out. Don't overcomplicate it, adding in loads of content. You're simply trying to re-engage that person. They're already engaged. They were just on your website. So there's not a whole lot of work that needs to be done there apart from a simple prompt. So if the customer didn't complete their purchase there, you want to send the second email 24 hours later. You don't want to do the next day at midday. It needs to be exactly 24 hours after they added to their cart. The reason you do this is that you can assume that that's when someone is, you know, on their phone or on their computer shopping. In this email, you now want to start addressing some objections. You could add in some social proof or an FAQ about the products that they've added in. Even start to create a little bit of urgency, you know, that your cart's expiring or something along those lines. You know, we can't hold this stock. Use that sort of terminology. Then if the customer didn't purchase then on this second email, for the third email here, you want to do this 48 hours later. You can again split test this yourself, 24, 48 hours, see which works best for your brand. But here you really want to start adding in some urgency as well as adding in an offer. Think last chance, here's 10% off, or adding in a free shipping incentive. So the reason this works is price sensitivity is the #1 reason carts are abandoned. Just removing that little bit of friction will help them convert. If your product is good enough that if someone buys from you once with a small 10% discount that they're going to come back again, it's worth cutting your margin ever so slightly there to get the sale, to then get the second, third, fourth, fifth repeat purchase from that customer. Okay, so now I just want to talk to you a little bit about my 5-step revenue framework. So step 1 is going to be killing those vanity metrics. Remove open rates and click rates from your primary KPIs and replace it with click to purchase rate, revenue per email send, and then revenue per subscription per month. Step 2 is going to be implementing conversion tracking. If you're just sending emails through Shopify or through like WooCommerce, actually using a platform like Klaviyo or OmniSend where you can actually track the revenue associated per email send. Step 3 here is going to be segmented by profitability. So what I mean by that, you're going to have 4 segments. You're going to have the most recent purchases within the last 7 to 14 day window. You're going to have frequency. You're going to have a segment of people who have made frequent purchases with you. So that could be 5+ orders placed with your brand. These would be your VIPs. You're then going to have a monetary, so the total spend. So whatever you consider for your store to be a really high total spend, create a segment around that. And then lastly, engagement. So that's going to be your email open rate and click history. Step 4, you're going to start A/B testing for revenue, not open rates or click rates. So start testing things like your subject lines, your offers, your call to actions and things like that. But when you're setting these tests up, when you're doing this within Klaviyo, it will actually give you the option. How do you deem this a winner? Are we going to go by open rate, click rate, or revenue placed order? Always do by revenue. Just because a subject line has a higher open rate, that does not mean you're going to get a higher placed order rate. So always go by placed order rate, revenue, whatever it is. So run your next A/B test with the primary metric being revenue. And then step 5, the most important one of all, is starting to build repeat purchase sequences. So this is going to be a post-purchase window of the 3 days, 7 days, 21 days. You can then create a 60 or 90-day win-back series. This is where you want to re-engage a customer that's made a purchase with you after 60 to 90 days, give them a small incentive, 10% free shipping off their next order, something like that. They already know, like, and trust your brand at this point, so it's pretty easy to get a second order out of them. You then want to implement that abandoned cart sequence that I mentioned, and then also look to do a VIP loyalty segment. So if someone's placed 5 or more orders with your store, if you deem that to be, a very high amount of orders placed, create a sequence that rewards them, give them an incentive once a month to come back and purchase again. Okay, so why do this? Simply because acquiring a customer can cost 5 to 7 times more than just retaining an existing one. So your email system should just make retention automatic. So when all 5 steps are working together, you can actually see where your revenue is coming from. You can prove ROI on every single send. The right message is going to the right person, so you're going to have the best conversion. You're going to have a continuous improvement on conversion rates. Then your revenue is going to compound through repeat purchases. So we actually implemented this system for one brand who was pulling in £4,200 a month from their email list. After 90 days, that went up to around £12,800. So that was an extra £8,600 a month, £103,200 every single year, and it's from the exact same list. Here's what happens next. You're going to close this video and you're going to think that was really useful, and then you're going to do nothing. You'll go back to tracking your open rates, back to celebrating 28% opens and 0.05 conversion rates, back to guessing what works. Meanwhile, your competitors are implementing this right now. They're auditing their data, they're building cart recovery systems that turn 22% of lost carts into sales, they're segmenting customers and converting 3 times more, and they're testing for revenue, not vanity, and they're scaling while you watch. You could do the same with the exact same traffic, the exact same list, but only if you actually implement it. So the question isn't whether this works, the question is, are you going to be the brand that takes action, or the brand that watches from the sidelines? Go to oakhurstmarketing.com right now, book the audit, stop measuring opens, start building systems.